This episode of Nerdist News is sponsored by Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The huge Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker twist explained. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is finally in theaters, and whether you're on board for this outing or not, there's no denying that it made a lot of choices. Like, a lot. There's so many movies in this one movie, and it's one of those choices that has many fans losing their gall-dang minds. Now, before we even go 1 second further, we have to give a spoiler warning for Star Wars Episode 9, because we're going to spoil the ever-loving heck out of that movie for you, so if you haven't seen it yet, turn away now unless you have seen it, or have just given up on everything and don't care anymore. Either way, hope your day gets better, and be sure to like and subscribe. Alright, you're clearly still here, which means that it's time to get into that twist, specifically Rey and Palpatine. Now, after it was established in The Last Jedi that anyone could become a hero and that Rey was a nobody, it was revealed that Rey is in fact a somebody. Rey Palpatine, to be precise, effectively retconning Episode 8's message from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
Now, whether you were for or against this reveal, it's obvious that this is a major twist for the sequel trilogy and is going to recontextualize everything we thought we knew about Rey up to this point.
It's time to let old things die.
But for now, what happened? And was this twist actually something that came out of nowhere? While the Resistance is off fighting that ridiculously large fleet of planet-killing Star Destroyers above the Sith planet of Exegol, Rey tracks down the Emperor to the creepy stadium he apparently lives in, where he invites her to strike him down so he, and the rest of the dead Sith, may then live on inside of her as the new Empress Palpatine of the Final Order. Gross. Now, while it appears she may have been tempted by this offer, in actuality, she's waiting for some backup from her resident swole boy, Ben Solo, who's now turned his back on both the Knights of Ren and the dark side shortly after Rey force-healed him after she wounded him with a lightsaber during their duel on the wreckage of the second Death Star. I know, a lot happens in this movie. Now, unfortunately, things don't go as well for these two as old Palps drains their life force Voldemort style, or maybe like Dementor style. Either way, it's some Harry Potter-ass shit. He drains their life force to repair his damaged old bod. And then he just tosses Ben Swallow off the side like a piece of garbage, aka him, in Return of the Jedi. But it's in this moment, when all seems lost, that Rey gets a little encouragement from the voices of Jedi past. Anakin, Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Kanan, Ahsoka, the list goes on and on. They all leave her spiritual voicemails. And thus she's able to deflect the Emperor's force lightning and incinerate his body in a way that apparently an exploding Death Star could not. Now, sadly, this process drains Rey of the rest of her life force, and all seems lost until our favorite wide boy, Ben Solo, climbs out of that holo and is able to use force healing to bring her back to life, only for him to die and fade away in the process. I mean, look, that's what happens when you've never been kissed. It just kills you instantly. After all of this, Rey heads back to the Lars homestead on Tatooine to bury Luke and Leia's lightsabers, where she then reveals her new yellow lightsaber made from her old staff. Where did that kyber crystal come from? I have so many questions. It's so cool. She's then confronted by an old woman who asks who she is. With Luke and Leia's Force Ghost looking down on her in the distance, she answers Rey Skywalker, effectively forging a new family and destiny despite her blood relation to Palpatine. So, was this whole notion of Palpatine having children, and by extension grandkids, something that's brand new? Well, not really. In fact, if you go into the old Star Wars Expanded Universe canon before Disney deep-sixed all of it, it's heavily implied that old Palps had a kid named Triclops, which is just 3 Cyclopses stapled together. He actually is a white-haired mutant with 3 eyes, so you're not that far off. He had a son named Ken, or as we like to call him here on the show, Kenny Palps. Now, like Rey, Kenny Palps also grew up without parental supervision, essentially living alone and unaware of his ancestry outside the fact that both dark and light sides were a part of his heritage. Now, the similarities between Rey and Kenny pretty much end there, because Rey's parents basically hit the road with her trying to hide her from her grandpappy Palpatine because they knew the Emperor had plans for their daughter in the long run. Now, overall, the new Rey-Palpatine dynamic revealed in The Rise of Skywalker certainly puts a twist on what had been previously established by The Last Jedi. And this is either the best thing in the world or the absolute worst, depending on your certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
But what do you folks think? Were you on board for this twist? Would you rather have seen Kenny Palps enter Star Wars canon instead of Rey becoming a Palpatine? And seriously, who had sex with the Emperor? Just raise your hand right now. I'm not mad, I just need to know. Please. I'm gonna ruin Christmas otherwise. Let's discuss. Thanks again to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for sponsoring today's episode. You play Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan who narrowly escaped the purge of Order 66 following the events of Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. On a quest to rebuild the Jedi Order, you must pick up the pieces of your shattered past to complete your training, develop new powerful Force abilities, and master the art of the iconic lightsaber, all while staying one step ahead of the Empire and its deadly Inquisitors. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is available now on Xbox One, PS4, and PC.